Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. It's evening time in Cape Town. So I'm coming towards the end of my day, and I know it's morning time for my guest. I have with me Dr. Tommy Watson, and he's all the way in Charlotte, North Carolina. So hi, say hello to the audience before we carry on.
Good morning, Dr. Tola. Can I call you Dr. Tola as well?
I wish I was. I wish I was Dr. Tola, but I quit my PhD program halfway.
We'll give you an honourary degree today.
You're Dr. I love Tola that. Today, I'll take it. Manifestation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I was saying good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm excited.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. It's such an honor. Your story is so inspirational. When I read your story, I was like, oh my gosh, I love a good story. But like I said, I would love for you to tell your own story because you come from a very challenging childhood, extremely challenging. One of the things that I read and I was like, oh my gosh, is that your mother was arrested 11 times before you turned 1.
Yeah, can you imagine that?
Finished me. That I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So please tell us your story.
Yes. And Tola, once again, thank you for having me on. So, growing up, I'm originally from Denver, Colorado, here in the States. And my mother and father growing up, they were heroin addicts and shoplifters. So they didn't work regular jobs. They went out and stole for a living. And that's how they raised me and my brothers and sisters. And, their behaviors, unfortunately, caused a lot of damage for me and my sister and brothers. By the time I finished high school, Tola, my mom and dad had been arrested a total of 121 times.
My gosh.
121 times, yeah. So by the time I was in 3rd grade, I lived in numerous foster homes, crisis centers, motel rooms, lived with my grandmother several times, bounced around from place to place, lived in a number of shelters, went to 4 different elementary schools within 1 year between my 2nd and 3rd grade year of school.
Yeah.
Then when I was in 2nd grade, till I found myself in a very difficult situation. My mom and dad would leave me and my brothers and sisters for days by herself, not hours, but for days by herself. My older sister, she was in 6th grade. The other one was in 5th grade. I was in 2nd grade. My little brother was in 1st grade. We had a 1-year-old baby sister. We were basically taking care of my 1-year-old baby sister. We would go to grocery stores and steal food. We would go to school, steal food, bring it back. So my older sister would miss school. They stay at home with my little sister.
How old was she at the time?
She was in 6th grade, so she was probably about 11 or 12 years old. She was watching,
Oh,
so we were going to school. So the 3 of us, my sister was in 5th grade, I was in 2nd grade, the other one was in 1st grade. The 3 of us would go to school, not necessarily to learn, but to steal food. We'd bring it back so my sisters could eat. We would eat. And then, one day we found ourselves in a situation, Tola, where there was a knock at the door. We went to the door and it was the police and local sheriffs. And they said, hey, your parents have been arrested. You guys have to come with us. We were like, whoa. And they put us in a foster home, long story short, and they separated us from our little baby sister.
Right.
And my little baby sister was like, it was almost like we were her parents. I mean, you're a mom. You can imagine being separated from your daughter.
Yeah.
And we were placed in this foster home, and I went into the foster home. I was very angry, Tola, and I didn't listen to the foster parent. And lo and behold, after several months of being there, we coincidentally meet my oldest brother. He came over to visit with another lady who had adopted him, and my 2 older sisters happened to remember him.
Wow.
We were in the same room, hanging out. And my sisters were talking. They were saying, hey, is your name this? Is your name this? And he kept saying his name was Levere, but his birth name was Laverio. They said, no, your name is not Levere. Your name is Laverio. You are our brother. And he was like, whoa. And I was like, whoa, this is our brother. That was the first time ever I met my oldest brother in a foster home in 2nd grade. The following year, Tola, we were now placing the custody of my aunt. Me and my little brother and my little sister were reunited. And my 2 older sisters went to different foster homes. So by the time I was in 3rd grade, I was a very angry kid.
Yeah.
And my only goal at this time, I would want to join the local gang.
Yeah.
The Crips at the time. And that was my goal, hopes and dreams. And my aunt was pretty smart. She got me involved in basketball.
Right.
And basketball, I tell you, it literally saved my life because everything I was looking for in the world of gangs, I received from playing sports.
Yeah.
A sense of belonging, a chance to connect with other kids who had similar goals and dreams, had a great male mentor coach. So basketball was my everything. By my 7th grade year of school, we were back with my mother and father for 2 years. We found ourselves in another very difficult situation. It was a beautiful sunny day in the city of Denver. It was the summer before my 8th grade year of school. I was at home watching my favorite show, and suddenly there was a knock at the door. And I go to the door, and to my surprise, there sit the police and local sheriffs. I'm like, whoa, why are you here? Well, they had told me that, my parents had not been paying rent, and we had to get out. I'm like, whoa, get out.
Oh my gosh, wow.
So I asked them, I said, you mean in 60 days, right? They said, no. I said, you mean in 30 days, right? They said, no. I said, so when are we supposed to get out? They said, right now. I said, right now, where are we supposed to go? They said, that's not our problem. I just kept saying, where are we supposed to go? They went into our house and started taking all of our stuff and started throwing it into the front yard. I just kept saying, so where are we supposed to go? I remember looking at all my friends around me. They were laughing, giggling. There was a piece of me that wanted to break down and start crying right then and there, but I couldn't. Later on that evening, I started crying as we actually watched the folks from the neighborhood go into our yard, Dola, and take everything we owned. There was nothing we can do about it. From there, my family of 9 of us moved into one motel room. It was 9 people, 1 room, 2 beds, 1 bathroom for my entire 8th grade year of school.
And the parents were there as well in the motel room?
There. So they were there using drugs. My grandmother, her boyfriend were doing alcohol. And my older sister and her boyfriend were doing crack cocaine. So me and my little brother and little sister left to fend for ourselves. And we went to school. We were talked about because our clothes were dirty. We stunk, we smelled. And even our teachers were talking about us.
Yeah.
And I did time, I kept playing sports and ended up getting a scholarship to a private high school in the suburbs of Denver. My mother and father were against it. But I went and took the test without them knowing it. I got into the school. The end of my 8th grade year of school, they ended up going back to prison again, Tola. So now I moved in with my other grandmother, and she came and said, yeah, I want you to go out to this high school every day. So I took 3 city buses, one way to high school every morning, starting at 6:30 in the morning to get to high school every day. I did that for, I would get back home anywhere between 8 and 10 o'clock at night, did that for 3 years. By my 11th grade year of school, my grandmother who I was living with had developed Alzheimer's disease. Now she had to be placed into a nursing home. My mother was now on her way out of prison, had gotten herself together, no longer doing drugs, but no one would give her a second chance. She wouldn't get a second chance, so she turned to selling drugs to take care of us. And in the middle of my senior year of high school, Tola, she got busted for selling drugs and was on her way back to prison again. I eventually found myself homeless. A friend of the family let me sleep on his floor. I bounced around from place to place to place with the trunk. And actually with this trunk right here that sits in my office. This is the trunk that sits in my office. I was homeless, taking this around with me everywhere I went.
Yes.
And I barely graduated from high school. My family put me on a Greyhound bus. It was almost 30 years ago, and they said, good luck. And I never moved back to Denver. I was a football player, so I had over 30 scholarship offers for football.
Oh, my word.
I went on to go play football for the University of Minnesota. Thought I was going to the NFL, and I ended up getting a back injury and had to really focus in on my education. The thing that really changed my life about education, I was back home visiting my junior year of college, Denver, and I was in a drive-by shooting where I almost lost my life. Someone just randomly shot up a vehicle that me and my mother were in. And I went back to Minnesota, told her, yeah. You believe that? That's what my coaches were saying. They're saying, what are you going back to in Denver? You getting shot up? Your van has been shot up? Thank God I hadn't been shot or anything. I got back to Minnesota. I said, I got to get an education. I can't go back to that right there.
Yeah.
So I got my 1 degree. I got 2 degrees, and I got 3 degrees, and I got 4 degrees. There they are behind me there.
Yes.
My 4 degrees there. And I went on to become a school principal and then left being a school principal 11 years ago to start my own business, speaking, coaching, and consulting. So it's been a great journey. I thank God for it. It hasn't been easy, but I thank God for where I am today, though. Yes.
When you are going through the worst, for you were a child, but as an adult, when you're going through the worst, and you're like, when does it end? And then it gets worse and it gets worse and it gets worse. There are times where maybe you question God or whatever. And I wanted to ask you, because one of the beliefs out there is that I want your opinion to find out where you stand with this, is that before we come onto this earth, there are people who believe that we kind of sign up for the life that we are going to have. So you are going to go to earth, you are going to get a body. You may like it, you may not like it, but you are going to go through these experiences. And you have to agree to that life. That's the life I'm going to go to earth and live, because there's always a bigger plan. Something has to come out of it. So you are going to experience having parents who are drug addicts. You are going to experience your parents going to jail. You are going to experience homelessness, poverty, hunger, whatever. But there's a bigger plan, is that one day you'll be sitting here, well, telling your story and changing lives and, transforming other people's lives. And for me, that's big. So I've come, in these last few years, I've come to believe this, because when things were going crazy in my life, there was a part where I was like, God, I did not sign up for this. I don't want this. I never asked for it. I didn't ask to be born. But then I came to a point where I was like, okay, maybe I did sign up for this.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely.
When you start understanding what your purpose in life is, then you're like, okay, I have to experience this in order for that to happen. There's no way I'm going to tell people about resilience when I know nothing about it, when my life has been cushy and, fabulous, and there's no way. But for me to be able to tell people about how to overcome homelessness, I must be homeless at some point. Yes. How poverty and all of that, at some point I have to experience it. And as an adult, I guess you can come to that understanding. And for me, it has really helped me to be able to deal with some of the things that I have experienced, because I'm like, okay, wow, this is crazy. This is a mess. And I'm trying to avoid saying bad words because I've used bad words. I'm like, this is like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But then I'm like, okay, but I get it. Like, God, you want me, when I have those conversations with God, and I'm like, okay, you want me to experience this because there's a bigger plan, so that one day I can tell people when they say, oh, but you're so lucky, you have this and this, and be like, I'm not lucky at all. If you knew what I had to go through, So I'm sorry, I'm going on and on as if I'm preaching.
You're exactly right, because when I talk to clients, oftentimes I tell them, I say that your purpose in life will be connected to your greatest trial or tribulations you face.
Pain.
So I tell people in my coaching program that in order to find your purpose, you got to reflect back in order to go forward. And adversity is a far better teacher than victory. Yes. Just going through life winning doesn't allow you to really win. You think about two people running a race. If two people are lined up to run a race, one person has a straight shot to the finish line, the other person has to endure obstacles, jump over things, swim through things. Who's the person who's really building endurance?
Yeah.
The person over here.
Yes.
So sometimes in life, God gives us these challenges to help us build endurance, because when you hear the word resilience, most people think about resilience as simply just bouncing back from something that's tough. That's only part of it, though. The other part of it is not only surviving, but you got to thrive. Yeah. So you have to ask yourself the question, what did I learn from this situation? And say, what am I going to do differently next time?
To apply the lesson,
yes. It's not a matter of just going through life and just facing a tough time, because if you don't learn from it, chances are that tough time is going to meet you again around the corner. So when you begin to ask the question, okay, what did I learn from this? And then what will I do differently going forward? That's where you begin to not only survive, but you thrive. So now you're truly resilient, or whatever it may be that you faced in life. But you simply can't just survive and say, whew, I made it through.
Yeah.
You got to be able to reflect back, because again, if you're not willing to reflect back, you don't know how you made it. You don't know what you did. And sometimes our testimony are meant to help not only you, heal you, but to help other people as well.
Exactly. So yeah, I so love that, because that's exactly my understanding, is that throughout life, there will be challenges. But in the challenge is a lesson. So you have to say to yourself, okay, what is this here to teach me? And learn the lesson in order for you to graduate and move on to the next level. Because I also had a guest about 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about the same thing in terms of lessons, to say the lesson will keep coming back until you learn it. Because exactly as you explained, if you don't learn the lesson, you don't know what you did right. And you can't apply it forward. And so you may repeat the same mistakes which you should have learned from. And so the lesson will keep coming back until you're like, okay, I get it. I get it. What is the lesson here? I was saying that to my daughter not so long ago, when I was losing money left, right, and center. And I kept losing money, and people were owing me money and not paying me. And it was just going to shit. And I was like, what is the lesson?
Don't borrow people money. That's the lesson. Don't borrow money.
Don't lend people money is the lesson. Don't lend people money.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So in your opinion, to encourage someone out there, how do you avoid falling into the same trap?
Absolutely. You got to make a choice. You got to make a choice. Either you're going to be the thermostat or the thermometer in life. Okay. The thermometer becomes the temperature of the environment around them. The thermostat sets the tone of the environment. And I remember when I was living in that motel room in 8th grade, Tola, and I was looking around, I would see my mom and dad, they would go in the bathroom, shoot up heroin, and come out like zombies. My grandmother, her boyfriend, were drinking themselves unconscious. My older sister and her boyfriend doing crack cocaine. I told myself at that time that I didn't know what my future was going to be, but I said, this right here is not going to be my future. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but this right here is not going to be my future. So I tell young people, not just young people, anyone going through a tough time, be sure to identify what is that's important to you. You got to have a vision.
Yes.
You got to be a dreamer. I tell people, one of the things that really helped me, Tola, in my situation was I had to learn to dream beyond my circumstances.
Yes.
So even though things were not, so I had to be able to see the there that was there when there was nothing there but me there. I'm gonna say that one more time.
Yeah, please.
I had to be able to see the there that was there when there was nothing there but me there. So I had to be a dreamer. I tell them, so if you're a person out there listening, you got to be a dreamer, whether you be an adult or a student or kid. If you want to set your goals for a business or get over obstacles, you got to dream about it. Whatever it is that you want in life, you got to dream about it here first. And then it comes to fruition here later, though.
Yeah.
So if you're in tough circumstances, dream, 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 believe it, and then it comes to fruition later and manifests itself later on. But everything starts here in the mind with the dream.
Yes, and they say, people who teach about manifestation will tell you that if you can hold it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand.
Yes.
So it has to start with you visualizing or whatever. You have to dream it to know what you want for you to be able to make it happen in your life. So yes, I love that. And so please tell me a bit about, you've written books as well. You've got the book, A Face of Courage and The Resilience of Champions. And you have a third book in print?
I have a third book I have not put out yet.
Okay.
It's going to be
What's it called? What's the third book?
So I'm kind of playing around with the title yet. But what it is, it's a tips book to really just talk to people about how to really turn your life story into a business, though. So I'm playing around with the title. So I'm a firm believer, in the coaching program that I'll be launching in November.
Okay.
I'll be teaching people how to find their purpose in their story and
Yes.
then to turn it into a successful business as well, because that's what I've done over the years.
Yes.
I'm very excited about, everyone has a story.
Yes, I was going to say everyone has, yes.
I believe everyone should have a book. whether the book is to make money or sell it, or just a book to have on your shelf.
To document your life.
Yes, and your grandkids, so they know your story. But everyone has a story. I think we should all document our story at some point in time, because there's things that we have to share with the world, and there are things that the world can learn from us, though.
Yes.
But if we go through the grave with those stories, Tola,
then they bury.
Absolutely, they never get a chance to be told. So
yeah.
I believe everyone should be an author. Yes.
I love that. And I mean, that is one of the first things I learned in my coaching program, is that our coaches used to say, all of us, we all have a story. And they were really pushing us to publish, write a book about your story. At that time, I didn't feel comfortable talking about my story. So even though I published a book, it had nothing to do with my story. It was more about, being fit and, healthy lifestyle. And it was only after that I started writing a book about my story. And I'm currently in the process, like every day I add a page or whatever. Of course, some days you get mental block and you put it away, right. And it sits there on the shelf, and then I take it out again and I write, and I was saying to someone, the thing is, I don't know when to stop, because I'm writing about my life. Yes. At what point do I come to the end of the story?
Yes.
That's
a great point you make there as well. When I started writing my story, I was initially writing Face of Courage to really just get all this stuff that was in my head and my body just out. I needed it out. I needed to just get it on paper and begin to process it. And one of the things that I found in the process was writing the book became therapeutic for me.
Yes.
Because I had to become all the people in the book.
Kind of cathartic as well. Yeah.
Yes. And I had to take the lessons, because, when you're telling a story, you don't want to just give people all the daunting stuff. You got to be able to teach them a lesson when they're reading your book, or they just feel drained. So you got to say, hey, from this, I learned from this. And they begin to feel inspired.
Yes.
And one of the big questions I got so for me, I wanted to have my book be in a series of ways that I could write additional books following it. So Face of Courage, for those folks who are interested out there, you'll find, I'm not going to tell you how it's going to end, but there will be other books that'll bridge the other pieces as well, though.
Yeah.
But one of the things that people asked me after I got done writing Face of Courage, they said, so what was the biggest lessons you learned from your life? So that's what spawned the book, The Resilience of Champions. So The Resilience of Champions are 6 habits that highly resilient people display, whether, and it takes a look at the life of Oprah, Bill Gates, a lot of folks who have gone through tough times. You'll see that the principles are principles that every person can begin to mimic in their own lives. Like one of the things that, and I'll throw this out there, if someone's going through tough times, a lot of times when you're in the midst of tough times, you have all these negative things that are coming at you, negative words, negative people around you. If you could just hone in on the one thing that's going well, and focus on that, that becomes a catalyst for more and more and more. Because the law of attraction is whatever you focus on, you're going to get more.
Yeah.
So in the middle of all the stuff you're going through, I'll ask a person, what is the one thing
that's working
that is going well? Yeah. Now, how do we duplicate and get more of that and keep our mind focused on that? So that's one of the biggest strategies that highly resilient people display when they're going through tough times. Because again, there are going to be 10,000 things that are going to tell you what's wrong.
Yes.
But if you can find the one thing that's telling you it's going on right for you to be grateful for, that makes a big difference.
So the book, Face of Courage, from it came the Resilient movie, right?
Right, yes.
Can you tell us about that movie, just a bit about the movie?
Absolutely. Well, I'm a big fan of having multiple ways to tell your story. There are going to be some people who are readers out there, going to be some people who want to listen to you speak, but there are going to be others who may get your story through the form of a film or movie. So back in 2019, I created a short film of my story, and it's won 7 awards.
Wow.
And currently we are in the process of talking to some folks to try to see if we can get it as a featured movie and eventually onto a TV series as well. So we have a pilot that's written for a TV series and a script for a featured movie as well. So I'm very, very excited and hopeful, looking forward to that coming out on the screen here someday here soon.
That's amazing.
Yes, exciting.
Wow. Well, congratulations. I hope that really does happen. So right now, as the short film that it is, where can one watch it if they want to watch the whole
Yeah,
film?
if you're interested in seeing, you can go to YouTube and Google Resilient short movie or
Okay.
short film. You'll be able to see the entire short film. It's about 29 minutes.
Okay.
And again, it's won 7 awards so far. And again, I even have a theme song. I didn't tell you about my theme song for the movie. I actually rapped. Can you believe that?
Oh my! Now
did some
I'm looking
rapping.
forward to watching it.
Yeah, I actually did some rapping. So the theme song is called Resilient. Yeah.
Okay.
That's actually me on there rapping.
So you're rapping on the movie as a soundtrack?
Yeah, so the theme song is a Resilient. I rapped it, and part of it is featured in the movie as well. Yes.
Okay. Oh wow, I'm looking forward to watching it. I saw the intro, the short, I think it's 4 minutes or whatever, the intro to.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of it. Now
I tell people you can be a doctor and a rapper at the same time. Tell kids.
Football player.
Football player, be it all.
Multi-talented. I love it. Thank you so much. So before we close off, tell us how to find you. So your social media, your website, however you want people to reach out to you.
You can go to my website, tawatson.com, tawatson.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can find me on social media, Dr. Tommy Watson, Dr. Period. There's someone else who kind of infiltrated my account. So
we call it full stop, Dr. full stop. I know period is American language.
Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Period, Watson, Tommy Watson there. You can find me on all the social media platforms. Love for you to reach out to me. Get signed up for my launching of my coaching program. I think it's going to really be transformational and change lives. We're going to be launching that in November. So again, go to tawatson.com, sign up for my newsletter, and you'll be getting information about that. So get excited, get pumped up, and we're going to help change your life out there as well. Dr. Toller, appreciate you for letting us know.
Appreciate you so much. And
I'm coming to your hometown real soon.
And you are coming to Cape Town as soon as you are able to travel.